Hello everyone, and I'm back again playing Forgotten Hope 2, and this time I wanted to tackle one of the D-Day maps. I had every intention of getting this out around about the D-Day campaign that the Forgotten Hope 2 devs have been hosting, but I kind of forgot. Nonetheless, this is the Gold Beach map, one of a few D-Day maps that are available in the game, both in multiplayer and in single-player capacities, and I wanted to show one of them off because it's an awesome map. I mean, they all are awesome maps. This game doesn't really have any bad maps. But the gameplay style that this map adheres to when you're on the attacking side, on the offensive, adheres to, really good content, typically really good gameplay, so here it is. And playing as the British forces, of course, because I wanted to play on the offensive, so, to get the kind of the full experience of the D-Day landings, I'm sure any World War II vet would say this is as realistic as it got, just one lone man storming a field, but regardless of that, I forgot to turn off the frame rate counter, which I later did. Thank you to the Forgotten Hope 2 dev that was in my comments recently. I really appreciate that you liked the video. It was nice to see that the dev team is seeing videos being uploaded of these games and is responding to feedback and commenting on them and all that. It's nice to see. And may this game have a very long, prosperous life, because it is a very fun game. I mean, I got carried away playing quite a few rounds of this game a couple of days back, and even earlier today. And I wanted to record a video just because of how much I like this map. So here it is. I really don't have much else to say, really. I'm going to probably ramble for the rest of the video, because I am, frankly, in spite of me loving playing these games in my spare time, am a little bit tired of recording Battlefield 2 content in terms of commentating over it, because I really don't have much else to say at this point. But what I will say is that this map has a lot of cool little Easter eggs, a lot of cool little kits you can just pick up around the map at certain points. And I love that. I don't know, I forgot what setting I got the bots at. I believe it's at something like 70% or something like that. But it provides a really satisfying challenge, because it punishes you for going in guns blazing, but if you take cover and you have a good line of sight and you're able to advance effectively and not go from cover to cover, you do get rewarded with a really satisfying tactical shooter experience. And I'd presume that'd be very much the same case online, or even playing with co-op with other frags. Like, again, the Battlefield 2 games or Refractor Engine games tend to lean themselves really well on the co-op experience, even if multiplayer is the bread and butter of the series, not limited to Battlefield 2 and so on and so forth. But I still can't recommend this game enough. And again, it had recent updates, and as was discussed in a YouTube comment, there are more factions coming, which I'm really excited to see, because I do love seeing the lesser-known theaters of the Second World War being explored, because, I mean, it's easy to do a shooter on D-Day. I mean, a lot of games do it really well. This is definitely a game that does it very well. I mean, they do yearly campaigns playing D-Day maps, because they are, that good, in terms of quality and in terms of the gameplay experience that, that get people playing. And, the lesser-known fronts are very fascinating. I know Battlefield 5 explored it, and that was one of the things I liked about Battlefield 5. I know a lot of people don't like Battlefield 5 for a variety of reasons. In my opinion, the gameplay is the thing that holds up really well. The story, maybe not so much, but it's still fun to see lesser-known sort of theaters of war explored. And, of course, one of the key maps for Battlefield 5 was the map Narvik. That was a fun game playing that. I know they did some stupid things with the updates over the time, but the launch experience of that game, I had fun playing it, honestly. Like, I'm using this video as an excuse to talk about other Battlefield games, go figure, but yeah, Battlefield 5, I mean, Battlefield 1, I have very fond memories of, and of course, pretty much everyone does, really, because it was a great Battlefield game. It was a very infantry-focused Battlefield game, which I'd say is probably one of its more negative points, but, I mean, I had a lot of fun, and it's still a great game to go back to when there are active servers. But Battlefield 5, I felt like yet went further, but also didn't go further that direction. If anything, to me, it felt like a Bad Company 3 almost, just in terms of its sort of like not hyper stylized, but just in terms of its kind of alternative World War II take. Like, it was kind of, doing like a Bad Company-esque take on World War II almost. I don't know, it was an odd one. It's kind of difficult to explain, but it's a shame they didn't do more content like that. They just kind of abruptly stopped post-launch updates for that game about a year after it came out. And I remember EA did that with Need for Speed Heat, and I still haven't quite forgiven them for that, because I still think Need for Speed Heat was a good game. But anyway, I'm going too far into other Battlefield games. I want to go back on to Forgotten Hope 2. There are a lot of D-Day maps that I covered, and I will likely go through them at various points in the coming year, because if I keep doing Battlefield 2 videos, as I previously said, I'll probably burn out on Battlefield 2. But I do have every intention of going back to them, because they are great maps, and I do want to give them their due justice. And I'd like to think that my game runs this at a high enough setting to give the art direction and the the detail that's been put into this game through the art team and all that some justice. And I was quite surprised to see that the bots went to retake this place, because last time I played this map, the bots completely, like the opposing faction bots completely ignored this bit after we captured it. So it was interesting to see that they'll kind of back at it. And I have to say, as I said this in the previous Forgotten Hope videos, but bolt action rifles in this game are so much fun to use. Like, there's just such a satisfying sort of a feeling to them when you line them up. Gun sounds are impeccable, and just being able to nail the shot and cycle around is super satisfying, even if it's only just using a mouse, and you're not actually cycling a bolt yourself. Well, that'd be pretty funny doing that, actually, having a an add-on for your PC where you just cycle a bolt action rifle for no reason. It'd just be a stupid thing you can do. But yeah, again, lining those shots up is just so much fun. And it's, I mean, surely, I probably haven't done enough deep dive, but surely there's like a kit with like the sniper scopes with these Lee Enfields and the Kar 98s. Because I haven't seen them. I mean, again, this is mainly focused on the standard infantry classes, less specialized kits, because it's supposed to obviously emulate, just being a grunt, basically, not a special forces soldier. But it would be sick to see if they did those kits, because sniping in this game would probably be a lot of fun, actually. I mean, you already are technically sniping as it is with the bolt actions. You just gotta look very, very closely with your limited sights. You see here one of the few custom kits that are scattered around the map. I wanted to try this rifle at first, but I kind of like the Lee Enfield's iron sights a lot more. I felt like they were, well, realistically to the weapon, a lot more clear sighted and a lot more easy to sort of narrow down. I thought I'd play around and see if the AI actually followed attack orders. I don't remember if they did or not, but I figured I might as well give it a go and just see what ends up happening. But again, for a game that's based off a 20-year-old game, I mean, the foliage detail is seriously impressive. Had I've known any better, you could assume this would be like, a standalone passion project from like 10 years ago or something like that. Because there are a few shooters out there that, well, don't have the, the hours of hundreds of thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of hours poured into them like these games have. There are other shooters that do have like those cool little, Unity-based shooters. I don't know, the one I'm thinking of, I think it was like Red Crucible. I don't know why it reminded me of Red Crucible. I don't know if anyone who's watched this channel has ever played Red Crucible 2, but I was just thinking about that, because I remember when I got my MacBook as a fresh 14-year-old, 13-year-old, and I downloaded it, and I just loved the Battlefield sort of esque experience that game delivered, even if it was a very janky game. And then of course that prompted me to start playing Battlefield 2 again, and then getting into the modding scene, and then of course subsequently, the domino effect eventually lands to I start a YouTube channel, and then that domino ends up to me being back here in 2026 doing videos again for partially for nostalgia, partially for comfort gaming, partially for I don't know, comfort gaming. I already said that, but anyway, yeah, so this is a rather continuous clip here, because I had a really good run at this. Usually when I play Forgotten Hope 2, I usually get lasered pretty quickly, but I picked up another pickup kit, and this is a rather unusual weapon, because it's not the PPSH. I think it's the I forgot the name, but it was like something 42. Anyway, I'm not going to try butcher German tonight, because it's currently 1:20 in the morning, and I'm not going to try pronounce anything that is not in English, because English is the only language I know, and as I've stated a couple of times now, I don't know that language very well, because if I'm going to be honest, the English language sucks. Even non-English speakers, like non-native, I thought that was an enemy for a sec there, that scared the shit out of me, but non-English speakers say that English is a complicated as shit language to go through, and yeah, I agree. People say I say things very weirdly, even though I've grown up learning English and speaking English, and even got an A in English for me in my final high school year. So explain that one. I can't explain that one, especially with the content that was coming out from my mouth in 2017 on YouTube. I said a lot of very edgy and vulgar things and tried to be a very edgy YouTuber back then, but hey, it was the flavor of the day at the time, try to be an edgy shock jock YouTuber type thing. I mean, I had good intentions, but I was also 18, and I had been having a pretty rough year, so I wanted to make random YouTube content, and in a way, very much a time capsule of the past there. But anyway, we come up to the fourth and final kit, and I didn't really get much use out of this one, because the MP38 is not a very good gun. I understand why people like the MP40 though, because the MP40 in this game is sick, and the MP40 in World at War is perhaps the best gun in World at War. I don't know, I was going off topic to Call of Duty, I was just thinking about how the MP40 in Vanguard is really good, and it just reminded me, even though Vanguard is considered kind of like, it's basically the Battlefield 5 of the Call of Duty series, really. I mean, even down to the Second World War thing, but I have fond memories of that game's gunplay, just because it was just Modern Warfare 2019 with Vanguard, my Vanguard coat, like a World War II coat of paint. And I mean, a lot of people agree this is not an unpopular opinion, but I still am adamant that Modern Warfare 2019 had some of the best gunplay of any shooter ever. This game holds up really well in that regard. This game would probably be about a top 10 in terms of like gunplay. I just think the gunplay in this is absolutely fantastic. Excuse me, my nose, I'm getting sniffles. It's not even the sniffles from my nose, it's my eye has decided to start watering quite extensively. I am not sure why. It is not from tears. I do sound a bit more somber tonight because I'm a little bit sad, but I assure you I am not crying, and if I was crying you would probably hear it, but nonetheless, or it'd be crying because of how much I'm enjoying this game. I don't really do that, but yeah, I love how almost overpowered these LMGs are. You'll see it a bit later on, but yeah, you're able to kind of pick off people from absurdly long ranges, and it kind of almost negates the point of using the bolt action rifles almost. I mean, I guess in a way, no, not really. I guess, you know, the sense of theater, but yeah, just being able to one-shot enemies from like absurd, like 150 meters plus, yeah, makes them a little bit overpowered. But if I'm not mistaken, this kit is limited, so only a handful of people can use it. So, you know, thankfully, it's only limited to those who really know what they're doing. And I guess, you know, a bunch of, you know, kids could probably just pop on and just spam this kit and absolutely ruin it for the veterans that still play this game. But you can see they're just picking up people from afar there. I don't even know if you could see that in the rendered video, because I know YouTube has a wonderful tendency to reduce the bitrate of videos. Even if they've made vast improvements in that, it's still not as good as it used to be. And I remember it actually made me reflect on Battlefield. Oh, not Battlefield. It made me reflect on my old videos when I recorded them on Sony Vegas 13. And I would, you know, use when I recorded PC, I'd make sure they were at a high resolution. They were always exported at 60 FPS and all that. And it didn't really matter because the, you know, the videos. I mean, some of the videos looked pretty good, but a good chunk of them didn't. And especially doing videos with console gameplay, like the good old game DVR footage, which I still use to this day, actually, for Xbox stuff, just because I don't have a capture card and I'm not spending $300 in this current financial climate with, you know, with me not really earning anything. And I'm actually earning nothing from these YouTube videos, actually. So, you know, I've got zero incentive to do so. I'll just make do with what I've got, and it happens to work. But I just remember being very pedantic about that. And now I use Kden Live because, excuse me, Kden Live is actually genuinely really good. I did use Microsoft Clipchamp for a little bit there, but I found that for whatever reason videos tend to shit the bed, and the user interface was a bit weird, and all the AI stuff was honestly enough of a put off as it was that I just decided, no, I'm not using this anymore. I can't stand AI. So I went to OpenShot, and that worked fine for a little bit. Some of my early videos, early 2026 comeback videos, used OpenShot, and it worked fine for a little bit there, but then I had these random export errors which didn't pop up in my first 2 weeks of using it. And as much as the, you know, the guys who do run that community did try to help, I ultimately just couldn't find a fix and just decided to move to Kden Live, which I have found is a lot more flexible and a lot more adaptable to my use case scenario. But anyway, back to Forgotten Hope 2. I'm still sniping with the LMG, and you can see it in the top right hand corner, of which the developer, thankfully, I'll get his name up actually while I'm doing this. Actually, I feel bad that I haven't got his name up, but it'd be nice if this worked properly. But it is Flippy Warbear. Sorry it took me so long to get your name. My memory has not really been great at the moment, so I've been existing in a state of depression. But thank you, Flippy Warbear, for your kind tips and lovely feedback. They mentioned how the top right hand corner you can change it to the actual numbers instead of it being the little bar at the top left. So next video, sorry, top right, next video I'll do will have the actual like ticket count ticking down from numbers rather than the bar. Probably remove the FPS counter because it's a little bit counterproductive. And it was interesting, I kind of forgot that bots in this game are a lot more CPU heavy than just having random clients join a server. It logically does make sense because of course you are using a nav mesh and all these associated things that Battlefield 2 single player adds that isn't present when you're playing the game online with other people. And I should have probably remembered that, having spent so much time on these games growing up and being involved in that modding scene to a very limited extent, but then kind of recognizing why they did all that. But yeah, as you can see here, this final charge didn't really result in much. Unfortunately, we did kind of lose, which did not happen in real life, as far as I'm aware. I'm sure Gold Beach went successfully. And you can see here, I tried to make a relatively brave charge, for the line and try to capture the next point, because you're still bleeding tickets this far in, and it's just like, yeah, well, we're nearly out of them, so to hell with it, I might as well go in there. But unfortunately, it didn't quite pay off, and we lost quite convincingly. So yeah, that'll wrap it up, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, but I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.